Re- Hello, Dr. Jeong.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, very well. Thank you. Anyway, so I thought really good slides.
Yeah, all right, thank you. So I slightly modified, but not much. So
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is David Cerna. So I am from the Center for the Advancement of Learning. I really want to thank both of you, Dr. Nitsche and Jeong, for our impact session today. So this impact session is called Web-Based Assessment and Comprehensive Methodology of Continuous Improvement, Software Development, and Best Practices. And we have both of our professors joining today from the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. So let me do a quick introduction for both of them. So Donghyun Jeong is an associate professor and an undergraduate program director in the Department of Computer Science and Information Technology. After completing his PhD at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte in 2010, he joined UDC as a faculty member. In the past 11 years at UDC, he devoted himself to improving undergraduate computer science and information technology programs to provide high quality education and increase student enrollment. And Ludwig Nitsche is a professor in the Mechanical Engineering Department and serves as Associate Dean of CES. He joined UDC in fall 2019 after 28 years of teaching at the University of Illinois at Chicago, where he served as Director of Undergraduate Studies and then Interim Department Head in Chemical Engineering, as well as Associate Dean for Undergraduate Affairs in the College of Engineering. Ludwig has completed his PhD in chemical engineering at MIT and embarked on an NSF NATO postdoctoral fellowship at the University of Cambridge in the UK before starting his academic career at UIC. He has worked on educational assessment and ABET accreditation in various capacities since 2007 and emphasizes curriculum development and enhanced student learning, especially in engineering mathematics and computation. So it's a pleasure to have both of you here today. I'll just go over the Zoom webinar controls for everyone here, and then we'll get started. So if you are new to a Zoom webinar, it does look a little bit different than a regular webinar or workshop session. So let's go over the Zoom controls on your screen. Please use the chat box to participate. We love to see all of your messages. Just one note, you want to have this sent to everyone. So when you do type in something in the chat box, just click on everyone so we can all see your message. Number two, if you do want to say something, just raise that virtual hand. You'll see that raise hand icon on your toolbar, or if you're joining from your phone, you'll also see that raise hand icon. That shows us as the panelists and hosts. We can call your name and we'll unmute you. Last but not least, there is a Q&A function. We will be spending the last portion of our webinar today answering questions. Please feel free to go ahead and submit questions. You can also submit them anonymously. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. So I'll pass to both of you. Thank you so much.
let me try to share my screen. Okay, so I can choose my screen right here. Okay. Second, so I need to. Okay, so everybody can see it, right? Oh,
yes,
no.
I can see it.
All right, so thanks for providing us the opportunity of presenting this great work we have achieved on designing some online course assessment system. So this work has been started based on the initiation by Dr. Nitsche. So we actually did pretty much great accomplishment of designing these web-based assessment systems. I'm going to go over the beginning with providing general discussion about the course assessments and then go deeper into the system we are using as a part of the School of Engineering and the Applied Sciences. So I'm going to go over all the way from the beginning to the end. And then once after finishing up the presentation, I'm going to show you some of the demonstration of the system that we have designed. And then once after, I can, have some kind of Q&A session with you. And then also the Dr. Nitsche will join to answer, providing additional comments on the questions, right? So let's move on. So we already know that what the course assessment is. Simply, it is trying to improve the academic programs and then also trying to impact the student learning. We always do the course assessments all the times. So that is the main thing. So like faculty, normally they do, some of the course assessment, trying to identify the benefit and limitations and the student achievement as well at the same time. So course assessment, when you're trying to consider what that is, then we can simply think about two different levels of course assessments. Maybe we can think about course assessment is going to be done by each individual courses, just trying to examine the course activities. Then also maybe we can consider the assessment as a part of the program level assessment. So it's simply trying to identify whether the learning outcome, program level learning outcome have been properly designed or have properly declared and defined inside of the program itself. So when you're trying to think about the course assessment, then yes, there are so many people trying to think about designing some of the online based some tools. So there are several different kind of commercial tools are available out there. And among them, we already be familiar with the TK20 systems. So most of the system are pretty well designed by the experts in course assessments and then also academias and industries. However, there are some of the limitations we notice. So especially assessing the individual student learning outcomes with those kind of systems is not fully implemented, and there's some of the minor limitations might be there. So for our case, in the computer science and engineering disciplines, we stick to the ABET accreditations. So ABET accreditation simply it is defined to assure the programs that meet the qualification standards for their graduate to have to become a professionals. So it is simply trying to accredit the programs in several different disciplines, including the natural science, computing, engineering, and then also the engineering technologies. So under the computer science, under the scope of engineering and the applied sciences, the most major engineering disciplines as well as the computer science program got the ABET accredited. So we are following this ABET accreditation procedure, just trying to determine the level of student outcome attainments. When you're trying to satisfy these things, then we have to think about slightly different ways of performing the student accomplishment and then also student outcome attainment evaluations. Why? Because the major ABET accreditation procedure is trying to conduct the evaluation based on the student outcome attainment evaluation, as well as evidence-based continuous program improvements. Those two things are going to be the main things we have to focus on if you're trying to get the ABET accreditations. Of course, our design system is not only for the purpose of supporting this ABET accreditation and the course evaluation, that also can possibly be applied to other major programs or the other disciplines course evaluation as well. So here's the system we designed, and then we have already the system up and running. And then mainly, as I mentioned, we are trying to address those ABET course assessment procedures in easy and convenient ways. So simply, there are so many different kind of issues we have to handle when you're trying to follow the traditional ABET course assessment procedures. We identified major 3 issues. So simply, the traditional ABET course assessment procedure requires tremendous amount of time and effort for collecting all the assessment materials from faculty members and the instructors. Also, it is quite difficult to manage all the collected ABET course assessment materials in one place. And then also, we also found out that it is the main drawback of conducting the aggregated course assessment analysis, because all the paper-based the course assessment materials, if you are trying to do some quantitative analysis or additional course assessment analysis, then we have to manually convert each individual course assessment materials into some digitized formats. Anyway, so I'm going to show you the details in the follow-up slides. So as I mentioned, the system we designed is up and running. The computer science department has started using the system since 2001 spring semester. There also all other engineering department, they're going to start from this semester. Then, so when you're designing these systems, we have, specified the 3 different kind of main design objectives. Those main design objectives is trying to address in the minimizing the faculty load, the workload, and then also at the same time, it is trying to focus on minimizing the institutional workload. And then also, as a final outcomes, if you're trying to present to somebody else outside, especially when the ABET or the maybe accreditation, experts, they're coming to site to visit to do the evaluation, then we have to have a better ways or the better shape or better representative mechanism to show what has been happens under our UDC campus on or the course or different types of course assessments. So simply minimizing the faculty workload, as we can imagine, the ABET also accreditation or ABET course assessment procedures, it's not easy or it's pretty complicated. Also, the ABET itself, it is focusing on heavily on the direct assessment, simply the student work sample evaluation, instead of indirect assessment of evaluating the student survey result. So that's why they're focusing on integrating rubric-based assessment in more on course assessment, especially on course assignments. So for accomplish those kind of course assessment that required by the ABET accreditation body, then we have to think about defining some standardized metric, master rubrics for the programs. So that's why we created one for the engineering major programs and the one for the computer science programs as a standardized master rubrics. The master rubrics are going to be fully utilized into the system for evaluating all different kind of course assessment. And also, by doing this, we can eliminate some kind of additional tedious work of reducing the problems that might happen for the existing course assessment, or maybe we also can integrate in a better ways to addressing the problems in a ways of the performance indicator can possibly be integrated on the course assessment part. So I'm going to talk about the performance indicators and what the student outcome that is in the follow-up slide and more. And also, by doing this, by defining these design objectives, we also can continuously improve later on, right? Because we are collecting all the evidence materials as course assessment, then we can later on helping our, teaching materials or our educational, plans, what specific portion can be improved as a part of the continuous improvements. And then the system we designed has 3 levels. So simply the 3-level accessibility is defined, trying to limit the accessibility to certain information we are trying to organize as part of the systems. So level 1 is trying to provide all the accessibility to the users. The level 2 is only limited to the program directors and the department chairs. And then as the system levels, then the level 3 is going to be only available to the system administrator, just handling the user account and then the porting and importing all the available courses at the university level. So when you're trying to do the course assessment, here's the beginning steps. So we need to do the initial departmental level setup, because the programs is going to be operated under the department level. So that means we have to think about identifying and then also putting those informations, for example, the student outcomes, and the performance indicators, and they also define the master rubrics onto the systems. The once after entering those informations, then we have to identify what specific courses can possibly be evaluated as part of the course assessments. So those student outcome performance indicators, so here's some of the example as a computer science programs. So by following the ABA accreditation body, so they defined about 6 student outcomes. So when you are trying to get the computer science program provided to the students, then we have to satisfy those student outcomes when you're designing courses, when you're providing, when you're offering courses. Based on these student outcomes, then we have to think about creating the performance indicators. The performance indicators are going to be trying to address how each of the courses can possibly be satisfy those defined student outcomes. As you can see here, this is an example of the core courses that has been applied and has been used as a part of the computer science program. As you can see here, so let me use highlighting feature. So up there, you can see the student outcomes. And then also right below it, there are multiple performance indicators that defined under each of the student outcomes. Also, we cannot satisfy one specific course, satisfying all the student outcomes and the performance indicators. That's why we have performed in the department level, identifying what specific courses can address the specific performance indicators or the student outcomes to satisfy and providing proper educational materials to the students to become successful professionals. So I'm going to show you the detail of the system we designed and then performing and supporting the course assessments. So when users select some of the menus course assessment from the original menu tab, then there's a My Course Assessment is appeared as a menu. So that is going to be the main menu the user or the instructors and the faculty members are going to use for conducting the course assessments. And then also some other menus are going to be provided to supporting them to understanding how or what kind of course assessment analysis has been performed as a part of the programs. So when the user select those menus, My Course Assessment, then initially the logged in users or the courses, the person is teaching or taught in the previous semesters are going to be available and they displayed on screen. In here, when the user is trying to conduct the course assessment, we specifically defined 5 initial steps they only need to follow for completing the course assessments. The first step is going to be we're collecting course syllabus, original course syllabus. And then also we are asking them to adding assessment examples. So assessment example is going to be, as you can see here, some of the coursework, like a homework, and some of the project, and as well as the description. We are asking them to enter those informations. And then also at the same time, we are providing some ways of changing the number of students, because of course, we're collecting the total number of registered students information by referencing the UDC portal systems. However, the student numbers or the student element information always can be changed because, some reasons of student might be dropped the course, or maybe they stop coming to class because their major has been changed. There might be so many other kind of considerations there might be. So user need to change the number of students, and then entering these scores is going to be the main steps. What they're trying to do by referencing the master rubrics, how many or what each individual student has accomplished each of the defined assessments, whether the assessment has been completed in a proper way, satisfying or inappropriately satisfying or not satisfying. Those kind of level of metrics are going to be evaluated. And then also, lastly, we are asking them to enter the continuous improvement as a textual information based on the user input. So faculty and then instructors' input are going to be requested to keep track or supporting our continuous improvements of the course to provide or improve our course educations. And then also here is going to be the course assessment analysis we actually support as a part of the systems. So all the users can have or can access this multiple menu systems. Simply, they can do the course assessment analysis, as you can see here. All the course informations are going to be listed. And then also they can access some of the information entered by the faculty members or the instructors. And then also we provide some of the course quantitative assessment analysis by student outcomes and the performance indicators. This step is trying to do the course assessment quantitatively instead of saying that, oh yeah, majority of people have satisfied and happy about the course they took. Instead of that kind of evaluation, this quantitative assignment, we are trying to evaluate how each individual student has accomplished, the specific course. I'm going to show the additional explanation when I show the demonstrations. And then also the course level evaluation can possibly be done on the system. So as you can see here, what specific course has satisfied with what specific number of the portions, how each of the required student outcomes related map to each of the course can address the required assessments as a quantitative analysis. So let me quickly move over the website we have here. Seconds, let me bring up the web page. All right, so this is the initial systems we have. The one side, I'm trying to logging in with my login credentials. So initially, my account is defined as administrator privileges. So that's why I can see it's many menu tabs, but the last one, system management, is not going to be available to all the users. So as a normal user, they are able to see the only first and the second menus as the main menu tabs. And the third one is going to be the one we are asking each department level, they entering this student outcomes and the performance indicators, and then also assessment master rubrics. So assessment master rubrics is going to be trying to have whether the performance indicators are going to be properly evaluated as a part of the course, course level assessments. And then also the AVEC courses are going to be the course listing we are trying to do as a part of the course assessments. So once we load all the courses to these systems, we are asking the program levels to define or to determine what specific courses can possibly be done as a part of the course assessment. Then based on this information, so once the user log in, the faculty and the instructor log in, then under the My Course Assessment tab, they are able to see their all courses. Here is going to be the main menu tab. They are able to see that they are able to upload their own course syllabus. Here I added course syllabus of my previous courses. So they can see, they can download courses by clicking. Then also they are able to see the ABES syllabus. So ABES syllabus, they are not each individual faculty members are not going to handle. So all the ABES course syllabus is predefined and then approved in the department level. So they automatically, this ABES syllabus are going to be mapped and then into the systems. So once they finish this uploading this course syllabus, then they are able to enter to do the course level assessments by simply clicking. Let me just go back and then clicking this iconic shapes here. So it shows initially the assessment measures, how I conduct to do the course assessments, what specific assignment I have been provided to the students, then how I'm going to evaluate or how I'm going to conduct the course assessment evaluation based on the assignment I provided. So here is going to be the generic information I provide. So let me go back to show you the latest one as an example. So here. So for this specific course, I taught in 2024 semester human-computer interactions. I provided the homework 2 to satisfy this the student outcome number 2, dash B. So B is indicating the performance indicators. The what is trying to do, so it's simply trying to providing the assignments, asking students to creating some kind of website using some technological kind of considerations. So if I click this assignment, then we can see the details of the description of the assignments I provided. And also these informations are going to be added automatically when you are adding these additional course assessments. So this course assignments is going to be when you are asking user to enter, then they need to specify what specific student, what specific the student outcomes and the performance indicators are going to be evaluated to that specific assignments. So for example, if I want to evaluate this specific performance indicators and what specific assignment type I'm going to use as maybe paper or the final reports and the problem portions and the description, this is tasks I can enter, right? Then once I enter, then it's going to be added onto the systems. So let me just cancel that for now. And then once user enter those informations into the system, this second tab menu, it shows what specific performance indicators and the assignment measures are going to be follow up with the master rubrics. So here is going to be the master rubrics for evaluating this specific assignment. And then it shows, depending on what specific course assignments we are entering, then corresponding the master rubric information is going to be shown. So as you can see here for this performance indicators, then versus this, then we can see the different kind of master rubric information is visible, right? And then this information is going to be used for evaluating how students achieve. In this tab, score sheet is going to be the main things we are asking all the faculty members to do as a part of the course assessments. As you can see here, so there are about 90 students. So let me just change this number to 5. And then we can see that using this tab to see all the students' information. I'm trying to show as a whole. Let me just scale a little bit up. Then you can see the students, the achievement can be satisfied based on this. So here is going to be the master rubric information. If the students successfully complete this specific homework 2 as an exemplary accomplishment or the satisfactory accomplishment or the developing or unsatisfied, then the user needs to choose one of these options. Then this information is going to be used for evaluating the course assessment or conducting the course assessment quantitatively. So based on entered information, so the last tab, result, this tab, this quantitative average score values and then developing portion percentage are going to be automatically calculated. Based on this information, we are able to see how much percentage are covered by that specific course, and then also specific performance indicators, how much percentage has been covered fully or satisfactory, the coverage or for the student outcomes, how much percentage has been approved, or evaluated, attained, so are attained by the specific, the student, these quantitative values. So as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, so ABET is expecting to conduct the level of student attainments as, basically simply the student achievements as a level of achievements. So that's why this information is going to be the main key things we're trying to accomplish and they're trying to track. And then also additionally, continuous improvement is also going to be important. So as I show here as an example, let me just zoom in a little bit more. So for my specific course, I entered these general descriptions, what I have observed as a part of the course. So this course was happened in 2024 semesters. So I entered as said that due to COVID-19, it was difficult to organize class project as collaborative group project. That's true because they're not able to do the face-to-face communication at the time. So this limitation may be possibly be addressed in the follow-up semesters. They're actually supporting us to supporting the continuous improvements as a part of the ABET required, right, components. And then once after we finish this, then we can also, before moving on the analysis part, so let me show you all the course assessment for the reference informations here. So what it shows, it is trying to show that all the faculty members in the departments, what they have done. So we have started using the system, however, we have not fully integrated to all the courses. That's why we have see here some of the courses are evaluated fully, and then some of the courses still have not been evaluated in a way as we expect. Especially for the 4 semesters, we do not have the course evaluation done because we have started applying this system since 2001 to 2021 spring semesters. So we can see that as a problem levels, we can see that how much percentage has been performed as a part of the course assessment. And if user as an instructor, if they have no idea how to use the system, they're also able to use this feature to see what other people they are actually doing as a part of the course assessment. So it shows a bunch of examples as a part of the systems. So this feature is going to be pretty useful. And then also one more thing. So for the program directors and the department chair are able to see all the course assessment, these menu tabs. That's because some of the instructors might have the limitation of uploading some of the materials by themselves for some reasons. Then the program directors and then the department chair can handle themselves. After requesting some of the materials, they can manually enter required information here. So that's why it is going to be added as a part of the course assessments. Now let me move on to the second menu tab. That's going to be simply providing us to do the evaluations, simply the course assessment analysis. So here, the first menu is going to be assessment assignment analysis. So by clicking this, it shows, as I presented in the presentation slide, it shows all the courses was offered in these selected academic semesters. So as you can see here, by clicking these individual courses, you can see how each of the courses and the course assessment has been performed, right? So you can see if the user uploading the actual course assessment materials, then we can simply clicking and see the actual course assessment materials. Okay. And also the second menu is going to be course assessment by outcomes. So since we have, for the computer science program, we have 6 student outcomes, and then under each of the student outcomes, there are multiple courses are defined. So we can see how many courses are evaluated as a part of the course assessment, what specific assignment they have been used for evaluating the specific selected student outcome. So we can see those analyses by clicking one of these. And then also, here is going to be the important thing. So since ABET, based by following the ABET accreditation criteria, we are evaluating all the courses by using the student outcomes and the performance indicators. For doing the quantitative analysis of identifying how much improvements we have received or how much level of student attainment have been accomplished, we can do, and then we can also look over here. Student outcomes, for example, for this first student outcomes, how many student number samples are going to be used for analyzing, and then we received average score of 3.11. So as you can see here, for the student outcome, we have about 187 student samples are used for calculating, and then we received the 2.9 average score. So that's slightly less than the 3.0. So that means there might be some reasons why this slightly less number has been achieved. Then we can move on to the performance indicator. What specific portion as a part of this student outcome is actually happening? You can look at here these two parts. So those two parts of the course assessment simply has a pretty much a less number of scores below 3.0. So we can identify by looking at here, maybe these two performance indicators need to be addressed more fully, especially the second one, we have much less numbers that's below 90%. So we can move on to the next steps of evaluating each individual course, right? For example, what specific course actually having those kind of less numbers we can have, right? Based on this, some of the student, the four student outcome number 4, right? And then also, let me move on the next menu. We can also show all the course level continuous improvement, simply the textual information written by the instructors, that we also can see how much improvements we have to have or we can address by courses. For example, here, how much improvements, so here, this 2019 fourth semester, I teach this same course. So I added this additional information based on the previous, at the time, semesters course evaluation results for testing purpose. As you can see here, so we can see how much information I received as a part of the continuous improvement necessary portions. So as you can see here, students enjoyed participating in class projects, or the students are encouraged to do the project collaboratively. Most students do not want to do the work collaboratively as a team. So that actually happens all the time. So maybe then how are we going to motivate them to be participated in more as a collaborative team projects? That's going to be a part of the continuous improvements we are trying to achieve. So we can look at this information as well. So since we have started using this system since 2021 spring semester, we do not have much information to share, right? So some of the courses has this information as fourth semester, but spring semester we do not have yet, right? So we can see those things. But later on, once this system has been operated, maybe more than several years, then we will see those kind of trend, how the course assessment and then continuous improvement has been applied to improving our educational qualities at UDC, right? And I think I moved a little bit faster, so just trying to meet the limit of the time constraint. So let me move on to then Q&A sessions. So any questions?
Mr. Serna, we cannot hear you.
Okay, hello, here I am.
Hi,
So
yeah.
thank you so much for that great presentation. I'll help to facilitate some of the questions that we received. Also, for any attendees here, if you do want to raise that virtual hand, we can go ahead and unmute you if you'd like to ask another question. So first question that we can see is, what opportunities do you think there might be to bring faculty together across colleges for faculty-led training or learning on some of what you shared today?
So currently the system we have designed is operated in the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences only at this moment. So for other colleges and then other programs or the other faculty members in other programs, if they expect or if they would like to have this kind of system operated for evaluating the course assessment of their courses, then definitely they can possibly be done. Also, since we have started already this system, maybe our experience is going to be valuable for helping them to conduct the course assessment on their courses as well. So this experience, so initially we have started already this system as a pilot testing, maybe you can say, but that information is going to be quite valuable for other faculty members in other colleges as well. So, Dr. Nitsche, do you have anything to add
thank
on?
you. Yeah, thank you. Those are very good comments. Let me take a step back and look at the basic premise on which this system works. So if either the accreditation for the unit in question, or it imposes something which is compatible, or if you want to do something compatible, it would work. So the premise is, and this actually maps to the OP assessment, different terminology, but so the way it works is there have to be some student outcomes, or I guess that you might call them objectives in UDC terminology. Those have to be further broken down into some kind of performance indicators. And then you are going to assess the performance indicators in your courses. And because it's course-based, the idea is that you pick a problem, let's say problem 5 on the final exam, you map that problem to some specific performance indicators, and then you grade it. And the beauty of the system is that you as a faculty member do not have to come up with the rubric, because we already have a master rubric that describes levels of performance for each of the individual performance indicators. So all you have to do is describe the problem you're using for assessment, map it to a particular performance indicator, and you've already inherited that line of the rubric. But so the basic premise is, if your system of assessment is based on some general student outcomes, if those further break down into performance indicators, if you have a rubric that describes the levels of attainment for those performance indicators, and you're willing to do the assessment in your courses, then the system would be a direct carryover. But it presupposes a certain scheme of assessment.
Yes, Dr. Moore, I saw that you had your hand raised. Anything to add?
Yeah, can you hear me right now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, Dr. Nitsche, I appreciate you sharing what you just did, because I think from what you just outlined, every program should have such a practice of being able to, have identified objectives, tracked and assessed in such a way. So I think what you shared is golden, in that it's not like everyone has to use the system, but there is an opportunity for the system to, and I think the word used for programs to inherit. And one of a system that actually can help with the paralysis, which you all demonstrated. One of the things that's an interesting piece, and why I really appreciate all the sessions so far, but this one in particular for assessment, is that there are common practices, but we're decentralized in the very nitty gritty of how assessment, course level assessment, and programmatic assessment is done, and it becomes one in which some programs that have accreditors, disciplinary accreditors, as you all ABET, but other programs that may not have it, they're still doing the same work, but kind of answering to a different, when it comes to academic program review, et cetera. So there's really great opportunity here to even build off of, because there could be other elements that other programs are doing. So I'll definitely follow up with you both about that, but I definitely want to put a plug in. That question was for me as it relates to the larger trainings, because faculty led is different than, of course, it coming from like the top down or anything like that. So So thanks again for this presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. And we see another question from Dr. Asungwed. So was your online management system developed in collaboration with the UDC's IRAP?
Oh, well, so I'm not quite sure about the ILAP, what that is.
Yeah, Dr. Asungwed, if you want to speak, you can go ahead and do that.
Good morning. Thank you. The online management system looks wonderful. I was just wondering if you worked with the institutional assessment committee to develop it, or is this something that you just completed on your own?
So initially, this task has been defined by the Dr. Nitsche, and then also I have been actively joined to this effort of developing. So I'm the primary person, and then working with collaboratively with Dr. Nitsche and Dr. Wellman, also the computer science department chair. So it is we are operating and running under our computer science department web server. So if there is an opportunity, so nice thing is we had an opportunity to present this system to the president and then the C.A.L. at the beginning of the semester. Luckily, they provided us good feedback to the system. So definitely, if there is some kind of the demand out there, so under the university, and then also university the system, any entities of the university system, if they are expecting to have this kind of system, maybe fully advanced and fully functional as part of this university, then definitely we can provide some kind of effort into it as well.
Maybe,
Thank you.
yeah, maybe I could offer one additional comment. So basically, the formula of the accreditation depends on what the school is and what the body is. But pretty often it's a compressed site visit, which means it usually comes down to 1 day, maybe 2 at most. And so you have to have everything. So the way Dr. Jeong designed it is cross-referenced, for example, by outcome, by course, and all that stuff. But there's also attention to the idea that we don't want to let feature creep come in that this has all the information which can be mined for years to come, analyzed cross-section any way you want to do it, but it still is light enough that it hits at exactly what ABET wants for accreditation, with no more, because in some cases, less is more. So we didn't go at it from the point of view, this is a general institution accreditation engine. This is toward being able to have a really good knockout presentation in this limited time span. So that's sort of how it grew out of the C's effort, and Dr. Jeong managed to make it work. But we hadn't thought broader because we wanted to focus it down. What's the maximum impact you can make? It's like 6 hours. And so we didn't think maybe in the most general institutional terms, because this was toward a very specific goal. But on the other hand, taking a step back, I think from that usage, it could be useful for other units as well.
Thank you so much. I see another question is, what has been the response from faculty with their course assessments, or what do you envision as the response from them?
So some, faculty absolutely they happy. So let me say it this way. So we have tested these systems in the computer science departments last spring semesters. So we're happy about this system because it actually reduced the total amount of time, performing the course assessments, and then collecting the materials as well as uploading the materials to the systems. Not to the system, to some place in the shared directories or the shared drive. So since it takes more time, so for doing the course assessment, then we have to identify what kind of the assignment we are trying to evaluate, then how much level of attainments each student achieve, we have to do manually one by one. maybe opening some kind of Excel, Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, or using some kind of additional software application, they often use it. So however, it takes more time. So normally, based on my experience, previous cases I did manually by myself using some of the office products that takes several hours to complete those course assessments. But with this system, I noticed that the amount of time was reduced, maybe less than an hour. So also, faculty members raise the hand and then happiness about this kind of system, reducing tremendous amount of time saving. So maybe, starting from this semester, applying to the all other engineering programs, we will see some more feedbacks, not only the positive feedback, maybe they'll probably raise the hand and they're asking us to upgrading or addressing some kind of limitations. Maybe in the long run, we can see, there might be majority, potential benefit might be there.
Excellent, thank you so much. And then last question is, can you speak to a few more improvements at the program level that your assessment informed?
So program level assessment improvements. So when you are trying to think about program level assessments, so when you are trying to do the program level assessment, then normally if we are trying to follow the ABET criteria, then we are following this simply defining, using the student outcomes as well as the performance indicators to do the course level evaluations. When you're trying to define the program levels, then we have to summarize all the numbers, how each of the numbers can come up with satisfying the program levels. Because previous cases, like the indirect course assessment, is basically based on some kind of student surveys. How much, the students say that, okay, I really happy about, or I have not happy about. Do I have still connections? Yeah, those kind of things. So we are expecting, so based on the numbers we have, so let me just move on here, this kind of things. We can get the summarized and the result. So overall number that can tell us whether that specific course assessment level achievement can help us identifying the issues of the program level assessments. Of course, the continuously indirect course assessment need to be performed in the university level, but this is going to be slightly different. So we are trying to do the direct course assessment, trying to find the issues in the program levels. Of course, as an additional long run, we have to definitely think about connecting some of the end result to the program objectives, because normally the program level assessment, it requires us to defining proper objectives, student objective as a part of the programs. So whether the students achieve those kind of goals, the program level and the objectives somehow, then maybe there might be some kind of dot, like trying to connect those assessment results to the program level, the assessment. But I think that should be addressed in somehow. At this moment, I'm not sure how we're going to connect those dots maybe to the program level assessments. Dr. Nitsche, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, so I think that it was the question also about like what specifically is an example of how the program has changed? Is that it or no?
Yeah, it said improvements at the program level that your assessment informed.
Okay, yeah. So basically, that sort of the continuous improvement and closing the loop part for each of the programs, the bachelor degree programs going for ABET accreditation, the self-study reports had a narrative. In some cases, what changes were made. So I mean, in terms of a specific example in the engineering programs, what we have, there's one course which is used by civil, electrical, and mechanical engineers, CVEN 308, and numerical methods for applied numerical methods for engineers. And that is covered by ABET Outcome 2 in terms of problem solving and using the appropriate tools. So we have revamped the course in response to some slightly lower assessments of student abilities in the 3 programs. So that's a specific example of making a change in a course which affects several programs as a result of assessment. Is that one of the things you were after?
Yeah, that looks like the answer for the question. So thank you so much for that. And Dr. Jeong and Dr. Nitsche, this was a great, wonderful presentation. We appreciate all of your hard work for this. Are there any final thoughts before we conclude our webinar today?
Well, maybe I could just say I'm in awe. If you want something done with computers, you got to go to the professionals. I think my hat's off to Dr. Jeong, who, I mean, this system, it's not just a database, it interfaces with Banner, it's amazing.
Definitely. And Dr. Jeong, anything to add before we say goodbye today?
So I think definitely there is a value. So when we present this system to C.A.L, Dr. Porter, so at the beginning of the semester, so he was interested in understanding how many, the D's and F's in their students, outcomes. So I was thinking about maybe that kind of capability, like that kind of understanding or the analysis can possibly be integrated with this kind of system, because we are doing the level of student attainments based on the course level assessments. So that means how many people, how many students, why they receive or why they achieve the lowest grade like D or F based on what? So is it the problem caused by the level of attainment they achieve as a part of the assignment is actually causing the problems, or maybe is it really going to be connected to their personal issues or could not able to accomplish the assignments or the additional problems might be involved. So those kind of detailed analysis can possibly be done with this kind of system. So we are trying to address those kind of things. Maybe in a long run, I think there might be some kind of more support. And then also, and as additional future directions, we are trying to adding more graphical understanding or the graphical analysis, like creating some kind of line chart, how this continuous improvements has been shifted in terms of the student outcomes versus the performance indicators as well.
Thank you very much. So before we conclude, I do want to just share our calendar for C.A.L here. So we have 2 upcoming impact sessions for the rest of this month. On Wednesday, October 13th with CAS, we have faculty evaluation planning. That will be from 11 a.m. to 12:15 p.m. And then to round out our series of impact sessions on the 27th, which is also Wednesday, with SBPA, we have faculty advising best practices. That's also from 12 to 1. So you can go ahead and register for those using our calendar link in the chat box. So on behalf of C.A.L, I do want to do one more thank you to Dr. Nitsche and Dr. Jeong for your great presentation today, and I hope you both have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.